Good morning, legends. How are you all doing? Hope you're all doing well. So, wrapping up the end of the year as a full-time trader, what am I getting up to? How am I setting up 2024 in the right way? I want to talk about everything today and also set you guys up for success. Coming into 2024, a few things to think about as well. But overall, this year has been an interesting one, a lot of growth, and it's coming to an end. So let's end things in the right way, as it should be. Let's get into the video. Right, a smoothie for you all to try. So I've got acai berry, I've got macaroon, I've got banana, blueberries, organic honey. What else have we got in here? And I think that's it. Blitz it all together. Beautiful. Doesn't look the nicest, but it tastes amazing. So try that. Full of energy for the day. Boom. Also, great book for those of you who have not read it. Go check it out. Right, now for the juicy part. This is where you all get your heads straight, screwed on properly, and thinking about 2024 in the best possible chance to actually succeed, and out of this social media mentality of trying to milk prop firms, trying to get one payout and then that solves all the issues. Let's approach it from a professional standpoint, right? So I'm sure a lot of you will have been there when the Myff situation. So my Forex funds earlier in the year, as you will remember, was one of the top 3 most credible firms in the industry at the time, earlier into the year. We're talking May, June, July time. I had capital with them. I actually recently, just before they went down under basically, I had even more capital being pursued towards them. So I had a decent amount with them, and then overall, pretty much overnight, they just went bust and had no capital anymore with that company. So I think a lot of people were quite shocked of what happened, the situation of what unfolded. A lot of people were just purely dependent on my Forex funds, and then as soon as that comes out and they go bust, they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed, and it caused havoc in the industry for a while, and the prop firm space started to change after that, and certain prop firms started to word things completely different based on my Forex funds and the way they did things. But overall, what's the key lesson here? Because you can look at it with the mentality of, oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? I've lost my funds. You could be in that victim mentality, but that victim mentality is not going to serve you at all. So instead, switch that. Think about, right, okay, this has happened. It has. What's the key lesson here? The key lesson that I learned for me, and I'm sure a lot of you will have done the same, is diversification. You shouldn't be getting into the trading space and thinking, prop firms are the holy grail. Let me put all my eggs in one basket. Let me depend on this prop firm or prop firms. It shouldn't be that way. Instead of thinking of it in terms of prop firm capital as one avenue, you should be approaching it from a business standpoint and trying to not put all your eggs in one basket and try and diversify your assets under management as much as possible. That's the way you should look at it as a professional trader, and I'm sure a lot of you will want to be serious about the game. And if you're serious watching this channel, which I guess you are, you need to be thinking about things of a business, and that's the key thing. So how am I looking at things going into 2024? Personal capital, right? So personal capital wise, if you don't currently have personal capital, that's okay, because different people are in different circumstances. You may not have capital yet, you may be at early stages of your journey. However, you should at least have a goal to build your personal capital to a certain amount so that you can take care of yourself, so that you're independent. So if these prop firms go tomorrow, you're completely fine because you've got your own capital to trade. That is the ideal situation. So personal capital should always be the number 1 priority. Prop firms, take advantage of prop firms. You know, they could be here for another 5 years, they could be here for another 3 years. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I think there will be some changes over the next 2-3 years, even closer. But once again, take advantage of it while it's there. And then third and finally is investor capital. Now you can do this via the platform that I've been talking about, which is Darwin X. And this is what I'm doing coming into 2024. I've already started. It's a great platform. We're going to take a look at it now because I want to show you how easy it is and how viable it is to get funded alongside these prop firms, which gives you incredible diversification, and it's easier to get yourself in a good position in prop firms. So let's talk about it now. So overall, if we go into the platform now, we can see this is all about building a track record. So you're not coming in with the mindset of, let me get a payout, let me get that 25 grand and it'll solve all my issues, because it won't, by the way. This is about a professional standpoint. How can we build a track record, be viable for attracting investors over the long run, and set yourself up for long-term success? People need to think about things differently. So this is where we build a track record, right? So you start in calibration stage, you build yourself up, and then over the course of a period, the AI software within DarwinX will kind of monitor how you're taking trades, the risk management you're using, your profit and loss, etc. But you don't have any targets associated. You don't need to hit 10%, 8%, 6%, none of that. All it's doing is just making sure you're good at risk managing your trades, and that's the real key thing they're looking for here. And the key thing is, if we just take a look at this, what we're going to do here is calculate our rating. So this is just to put things in perspective. If we, let's say, had a 3% return this month, and bearing in mind this is probably not going to happen every single month, let's say you had a 3% month, and over the course of the past prior 5 calendar months, you had a total percentage profit of 5%, and you had a max drawdown of -2, we can calculate that, and it gives you a rating. Now, as long as this rating is above 80, you are then can expect allocation of a certain capital amount. Now, if you did this, once again, they're not huge numbers, they're not big numbers at all, but you're already getting access to 25k euros in capital allocated, whilst you're building your track record, you're setting yourself up for the longer term, and overall the goal of the track record is to build a credible record, a credible portfolio, so that investors can come along, invest in you, which is in the case of DarwinX platform as well, and then they give you the option of actually getting external investors as well, which is the biggest thing. Now, for this, it's 38 euros a month, but if you think about it, for 38 euros a month, considering what you're paying on some of these prop firms, is a no-brainer at all. Like, I'm straight on this. There was no hesitation, done my research, straight into the platform, love the way it works, I love the thinking behind it. And these guys have really come up since the MyFF situation, because people are starting to realize now, like, you can't approach the game in the same way of depending on one prop firm. You've got to be smart, you've got to be tactical about things. As traders, we create our own rules. So we need to make the rules so that it becomes easy for us to win. Right, take that again. I'll say that again. As traders, we create our own rules. So make the rules so it's easy for you to win. How do you do that? Well, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You diversify your portfolio. You approach the same industry, but you max out on 3 income streams within that industry: personal capital, prop firms, investor capital. You're being tactical here. You're being smart. You're using what I like to call the trader's IQ. You're being tactical and running things as a business. Super key. So I highly recommend taking a look at this. There's an offer until the end of the year on, limited time offer. Highly recommend it. Once again, I'm already on this platform myself, using it and building exactly what I talked about here today. So the link will be in the description. Highly recommend it. Go ahead, check it out. And I look forward to seeing updates as well in regards to that in the comment section below. Right, just to bring you closer to what I was talking about then with the skill set traded, but then diversifying into 3 different income streams. Let me show you what I mean, because this is going to separate people who are going to be successful next year into those that won't. So let's just touch about it. So let's call this 2024. Right, so what I was talking about is having one skill set, i.e. being a trader, being an effective trader. So you've got trading skill set, this should hit the point home for a lot of you, I think. So you've got a trading skill set, right? One income stream, one ability to make money, but you could be tactical about the ways that you make money, right? So first avenue in which we make money could be personal capital. Now, for those of you who haven't got personal capital yet, that's absolutely fine, but bear it in mind as a goal to build a personal account, right? That's key. Now, you could have a personal account, then you've got obviously prop firms as obviously a big sector right now. And then we've got investor capital, like places from Darwin X 0, like we've just been talking about, or Darwin X. Now the good thing is about this, the reason I wanted to hit this point home is, let's say you properly allocated everything. Let's say you built up your personal account to 100k. Then you've got prop firms, assets under management of 500k. Then you've got investor capital of 350k from Darwin X. You've got a contingency plan here in the respect that if one of your prop firms, or let's say this is with 2 prop firms, if both they disappear, what are you left with? You've got 350, you've got 450k for personal capital plus investor capital, you're fine. Whereas if you're completely dependent on just prop firms and 1 or 2 of them disappear, just like my Forex funds did, you're absolutely screwed. You're not diversified properly, you've no backup game plan. So what I want you to do going into 2024 is just be aware of all these different ones. And even if you don't have a personal account yet, just be aware and open-minded to doing these different things, because it's a way of building your capital, your assets under management, and a way to diversify, which is just smart business. So overall, that's the point that I really wanted to hit home. Obviously with personal accounts, you've got, apart from obviously taxes and stuff, 100% of the capital is yours, right? Prop firms, it could be 80%. I know something like Darwin X could be 15%, so it's a lot less. However, overall, this is a professional avenue, and because you've got the diversification, you're well covered. So, absolute no-brainer. If you haven't already, go check out the link below. Join me on my journey on Darwin X, and just honestly, it's just a good game plan coming into 2024. Eggs, avocado, tomatoes, sourdough toast, thyme, cooked in coconut oil. Beautiful. Now, I want you all to bear in mind this quote. I've really been thinking about this recently, and it's going to intertwine with what I'm about to say as well. The quote is, momentum is hard to create and easy to lose. So what I mean by that is, we're coming into the time of year now where everyone wants to put their feet up, relax. Understandable. I want to do the same thing to some degree, right? You want to spend time with friends and family, chill out a little bit, relax, refresh. I'm all for it as well, right? That's me to a T. However, you've got to understand that if you spent the entire year of 2023 building momentum, maintaining momentum, achieving these big goals, and then all of a sudden in the final 2 weeks, you've gone from a good morning routine, you've gone from good structure in your day to then getting up late, forgetting all these habits you've put in place. You lose that momentum that's taken you so hard, so it's so difficult to actually build and maintain. If you lose that over the 2 weeks, you're going to come into New Year almost like you're starting from scratch again. It may take you a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to properly get back into the flow. And then by the time that's happened, it's end of Jan. So you've already kind of lost a month of building momentum again. So what I'm saying is, still spend time with friends and family, relax, enjoy. You know, all that is a part of life. I highly recommend that actually. However, don't lose some form of structure. You may not be even live trading now. I've finished live trading for the end of the year now, as of obviously the last 2 weeks of the year. This is where I reflect, set goals. But once again, I'm in the office. It doesn't mean you guys have to be as well, but I'm still working towards where I want to be. I'm going to have a few days off around Christmas for sure, but up until then, things need to keep in place because the momentum is strong. To continue to build that, you need to maintain it. Otherwise, like I said, momentum is hard to build, Momentum is hard to build and easy to lose. So I really want you to bear that in mind. Now, on the topic of that, what I like to do at the end of the year is, number one, reflect. So I've been doing this all December pretty much. And I want to bring you through the process of how I do this. So I like to do two things at the end of the year. And every year I love doing this process. It's a process that I learned from Mark, my old mentor, and I'm very, very grateful for this. So what I tend to do is I will, number one, go to a high-end restaurant in the city, and it may be a bit more expensive than what you're usually wanting to buy. But let's say you tend to get coffee at Starbucks. Instead of buying that coffee at Starbucks, go and take yourself into a city, into a more expensive place, a little bit more of a luxury feel. Go and buy that coffee. It may be $3, $4, $5 more, whatever it may be, or even a little brunch or lunch to yourself or your friend. Right? Go and do that. Go and sit in that environment and just observe how people act. Observe what thoughts, what ideas come to mind. Because when you associate yourself with a bigger space like that, i.e. you're out of the normal day-to-day working environment that you're in, you tend to think of these bigger ideas for goals. You tend to think of these bigger ideas of where you want to be. You tend to get clear on what you want to do next year. And that's really important. So I will tend to do that, and I'll do that quite often. And then another thing I do to kind of relax my mind to approach next year from a clear standpoint is I love like the spa. I love the sauna. I love the pool. I love all those kind of things. So I will go to like a hotel, or I'll go to like a spa place somewhere. And I tend to do a couple, to be honest, or even just if you've got a health club, or make it your own, right? But this is what I do. And I'll just switch my mind off completely from the year, have time to think about things, go through some of the lessons, and just relax a little bit. And then when I come out, that's when I'll start doing this. So I want to bring you forward into this now. Here's what you're going to do. And I've been doing this for years, and it works really well for me. For me, in 2023, I achieved 85-90% of my goals, and that final 10 to 15% has only been pushed back a little bit. So it's going to be achieved anyway. Nothing's really changed. And I'm really proud of how this year's gone. Let me bring you through the process. So part one, what you're going to do is you're going to set 10 things you want to be, do, and have, right? So B is mindset, thoughts, roles. 10 things you want to do is actions, experiences. 10 things you want to have tends to be materialistic possessions, right? So what you'll notice is as you're starting to go through, it's very easy to start things off. But as you're going to add the numbers here, it gets a little bit more difficult towards the end. So this is going to be an absolute free template for you all to use and apply. Same thing with do, go through it. Same thing with have. Now, when you've got that, you should have around about 30 goals. Now, then you take a bit of time to reflect on these goals, do something like the spa day or the restaurant, and then when you come back, all you're then going to start doing is crossing these things off. Crossing things off that you don't really feel like you want to do. And all of a sudden, you'll go from having 10 goals of each to then ideally what I do is I'll finalize it to 3. Right, so you take the time to cross and you're like, do I really want that? Do I really want this? You start crossing things off, and then all of a sudden you get 3 goals to be, do, and have. And then part 2, you're putting these goals down and then going into a lot of detail behind actually achieving the goal. You know, that's when you go into describing the goal. How does it feel to actually achieve the goal? Let's say you've got a goal of a simple process goal of being consistent with your trading plan 90% of the time, or being diligent with your trading plan 90% of the time. If that's one of your goals, let's say, then all you do here is you describe it. You describe it as if you've already achieved it. That's the key. You want to get present. You want to add as much detail as you can, because the more you can feel into the emotion of achieving that goal and what it's going to feel like, the better it's going to be. And then manageable steps is almost like your chief aims along the way. So you could have a goal of being diligent with your plan, or it could be a bigger goal down the line of 500k in funding, whatever it may be. then all you're doing is you're mapping out the smaller steps it's going to take to get there, which clears your mind of, right, I've got this big goal at the end of the year, it feels huge. Instead of focusing on that, you have it in the back of your mind, but you focus on the manageable steps it's going to take to get there. And by focusing on that and actually working towards these, every time you tick it off, once again, you're building momentum. It's a momentum cycle. Everything is momentum. So if you can stack momentum on your side, you come into the year with a lot of wins behind you subconsciously to build and create more and more momentum. So I'm going to leave this in the YouTube description below. Check it out, download it, and I seriously think you should be applying this to set yourself up for success in 2024.